Okay, everybody. As you can see, I've got everything set up, and what I'm going to do is go through and get the switches set up so that we can get router on a stick situated. And let me bring this in here, and I'm going to show you that. Now, some things have kind of changed. As you can see, I'm going to do show ARP. And I can see .101. What's .101? Oh, that's show CDP neighbors. Okay. As you can see, I have GNS3 hooked up to my live environment. So I have 6 switches. 2 are layer 3, 4 are layer 2. I have 5 routers. 3 2612s, a 2610, and a 3640. The 3640 is acting as a frame relay switch, so that I can take frame relay and show you here what I'm going to do, and actually implement it in on real equipment. So I will. What you see here is exactly how I have it configured on my frame switch. So I'll be able to show you how that works. Now, the last video I shot, I was having a hard time telnetting from one layer 3 switch to the next. So that indicated to me that I needed to go through and get everything set up so that everything would work appropriately. So I still have my console cable connected to that device that was in question, and I'm going to go through a couple things. So we're going to use GNS3, we're going to use my live equipment, and we're also going to use that's pretty much what we're going to use. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use PuTTY. That's actually what I was trying to say. I'm going to use PuTTY for the consoling in GNS3, and I use TerraTerm, which you see right here, for connecting to my live equipment. So I come into the switch, and if you do a show VLAN, this guy right here, show VTP status, isn't running correctly because they're in a different domain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it set up, and I'm going to walk you guys through this. It's really simple. How to set it up so that you can not only set up the VLANs so that they can connect to each other, but you want to be able to replicate the VLANs you've got. So what I'm going to end up having done is, when I get done with it, I will have 2 3550s sitting side by side logically. They're actually stacked right now, but there'll be 2 3550s. And what I'm going to end up doing is the 2 3550s will be connected to each. They'll be crossed over and redundantly connected to the other 2 switches. So I will have 2 2950s directly connected to one 3550, and the other 2 2950s connected to the other 3550. But these 3550s that are directly in line with the other 2950s, they'll be crossed over, so that if one 3550 goes down, the other 3550 will kick in. Does that make sense? So I will have a crossover set up. I mean, I know what it looks like in my head, but because it'll look very similar to this, but as you see, there's 2 connections, one here and one here. Well, I will take a 3550 and have a 3550 sitting over here. So what I might do is I might pull out an ether switch router, as you can see right here, and just logically show you what I mean, so that you guys are like, I won't turn it on, but I'll explain how that goes. But as you can see here, I have VLAN sitting on there, and it's in server mode. So I'm going to do a show flash, and I'm going to hit enter. Now you see VLAN.dat, that's where your VLAN information gets stored. So I need to delete that particular file and reload the switch in order for that to happen. So I'll show you how to do that. It's really simple. So I'm going to do a delete. I'm going to type in flash, and I'm going to type in, there's a colon right where the cursor's flashing. I'm going to type in VLAN.dat. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. Are you sure you're sure? Confirm. Now it's deleted. Show flash. It's gone now. It was between config.txt and nvars. It's not there anymore. So now what I gotta do is I have to do a show VLAN. I wanted to show you something real quick while I'm doing this. Notice how they're still there? They will still be there even after you delete it, because it's just deleted out of the flash, because you're not pulling from flash right now. You're in the running config, which is in RAM. So RAM and flash are two different things. So your running config is brought into flash. It's uncompressed from flash, and it's decompressed from flash and shown to you in RAM. Well, if you take the power away from RAM, it gets lost. So what you end up having to do is reload the switch, which is what I'm going to do right now. Reload. Yep. And now I'm reloading the switch. So it'll take a couple minutes for this to do it. Switches are typically a little slower than routers. I don't really understand why, but they are. So the reload command has been given, and so what I will do is I will move to the next switch. Well, I'll hold on a minute. We're not in a big hurry. But I kind of wanted to get this done kind of quick because I want to get into the config side of it. Because right now I'm just kind of getting to the ability to configure. There we go. So, and as soon as now it's uncompressing the iOS, because remember it's in Flash and Flash compresses things. So you need to uncompress it from Flash so that it can be decompressed and shown in the uncompressed opened format. I was just trying to figure out a good way to put that. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and as you can see, it's uncompressed, and now it's taken from Flash and loaded into RAM. So now it's initializing the Flash file system. If you ever blow away a iOS and then you reload the switch, it will go into the same. It won't be. You won't come to the same thing as Raman and the router, but you'll get the switch. Will be the bootloader, and if you end up having to deal with that, then you'll have to go in and you'll have to do either a TFTP or you'll have to do a X modem transfer from the iOS on your computer through a console connection, because you can't do that via IP or like an SSH or a telnet because it's IP based. So there, we're good to go now. I've reloaded the router, and it's still booting right now. And I'm gonna give it a second. And okay, there we go. I'm gonna do a show IP interface brief. Now it's still got an IP address. Now I want to see if it's got a port channel, and it does have a port channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and go config T, no port channel 1. And complete command. Shut. Oh, interface port channel. Channel 1. No IP address. And then I'm going to do a shut to shut that down, because I don't want a port channel to be configured right now. Okay, what port channel does, and let me do a end and then to show ether channel. If you there's 3 ports in my ether channel config right now. What ether channel does is it allows you to take 2 Ethernet connections, two 100 megabit or 1 gigabit connections, depending on your switch, and logically bond those together. So instead of being 2 100 megabit connections, it's one 200 megabit connection. So that's what I did. So I turned off port channel, and I'm actually going to erase the startup config. So I'm going to do what is that? Erase startup ? And Erasing the NV file system will remove all configuration files. Continue? Yes. Now it's complete. Now if you do show startup, there's nothing there. So now if I reload the router, it'll be a blank configuration. So I'm going to reload the router again. I should have done that a second ago. And okay, now here's another thing. System configuration has been modified. Save. If you click save and you click yes, it'll undo what you just did. So no. Proceed with reload. Confirm. Yes. So I'm going to reload the switch one more time. And it's going to reboot, which it's doing that right now. And I'm going to end up probably doing that for all of the switches. I'm going to erase the startup config because then I know it'll be blank and I'll be able to come in. Now, when I get done with the CCNA in another week, I got a week and a half before the test, I'll start with the CCNP. And the CCNP stuff, it'll pretty much be the same stuff. It'll be go through, get it set up, and the nice thing about it is Internet Network Expert, who I'm using for my CCIE prep, they have workbooks, and Workbook Volume 1 walks you through every technology in the route and switch category, in that track. So what that does, and right now the bootloader is uncompressing the iOS from Flash, and it's going to load it into RAM so that we can work with it, and then I'll show you what we have to work with. It'll be like a brand new switch. So what will end up happening is this. When I get done with the CCNA, which will be probably another like a week or two, I'll use the CCNP's 3 exams: CCNP switch, CCNP route, and CCNP T-shoot. The route, typically most people go with that one for the beginning because it teaches you everything you need about advanced routing. It takes a CCNA and you go part way through routing in the CCNA. They teach you how to turn OSPF and EIGRP on, how to make go from classful to classless in EIGRP and RIP, and teaches you how to turn the processes on and how to advertise routes. How to make sure that the DR and OSPF is put on the correct router and the correct BDR is elected, and how the different multicast addresses for OSPF and EIGRP work so that the multicasts go out and the routes are routing tables are propagated correctly, things like that. Well, the CCNP takes you to the next step. So it teaches you how to load balance, well, in this case, load share. It teaches you how to do a number of things. And when I go through, no, okay, that's all right, I'm going to stop talking about the CCNP and bring it back here. Would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? No. Well, and actually, currently, right now, it's still waiting for me to hit enter. As you can see where the cursor sits. Now it's showing that there's things connected. And if you hit enter, it'll still want you to hit something. Anything in a bracket, like what you see here, this right here, that means you have to either hit Y or N. I'm going to hit no. Would you like to terminate auto install? Yes. Auto install is like a command line wizard for setting up your switch. Now VLAN 1 has been administratively down. So we go enable and I do a show IP interface brief. VLAN 1 is down and I have absolutely no configuration. With the switch, it's going to be down. Typically that's how you want to keep it. And then you would set up port security for certain things, like let's say you want only one address to be able to be put into the switch. So one MAC address, because that's how switches use layer 2, MAC addresses is layer 2, it's frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into global config. I'm going to type in interface VLAN 1, because I'm on my second switch here. Type in IP address and 192.168.1.42, 255.255.255.0, no shut. That takes care of that. Then I'm going to go line console 0. I'm going to type line console 0, type in login, type in password, pass Cisco, and that's all I'm going to need to put in there. I'm going to log in synchronous. So there, type in line VTY 0 space 4, type in login, and log, because I'll explain that update right there in a minute. Login and pass Cisco. As long as you put enough letters in for it to know what you're trying to say, so like pass, tab, Control U to delete that last entry. And then I'm going to go enable secret Cisco. Okay. So if I do show run, there you see I have an enable secret situated. Spanning tree is set up. It's in per VLAN spanning tree. All of these are in dynamic desirable, and I'll explain how that goes when I actually start configuring the switch. I have a VLAN information so that I have that set up. I have HTTP server set up. It's IP classless so that it'll support VLSM, and I have my configuration situated. And I need to go to config T line BTY. Oh, actually, I can probably just hit the up arrow a couple times. Yep, and type in log synchronous. What that does, see how if you didn't type that in, when this gets painted here, the cursor would sit right here. So at logging synchronous, it just drops you down one level to the next command, so it's like hitting the enter key, but it does it automatically. Now it says switch MAC flap notification host, and it gives the MAC address in VLAN 1 is flapping between ports 9 and 11. And what does that mean? Well, that means that there's something connected on port 9 and 11 that is different. I have actually a port channel connected on switch 1. So I'm going to do show CDP neighbors, and I have switch 1. And as you can see, fast 11 and fast 9. So I'm going to ping 192.168.1.41. Oh, you know what? I know why. No big deal. So I'm gonna, since I know that this switch is good to go for the time being, and I will set up I wanted to get the switch reconfigured. That's what I did. So I'm dropping down to my switch 1, and I just clicked it back in, hit enter, and there we go. Cisco, enable, Cisco, and then we do show IP interface brief. So I have a VLAN 10. I'm actually going to delete all of this. I'm going to completely blow this all away. And see how if you 9 and 11 are up, there's 9 and there's 11. Okay, we do show ether channel. Show this detail. I have 9, 10, and 11. Well, 10's not actually in it right now, but because ether channel isn't actually functioning on the other switch, it's not going to work. So I have to go to show flash and the VLAN.dat. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. Delete flash VLAN.dat. Yes. Yes. Okay, now it's been deleted. Now I'm gonna erase startup. Yep. There it goes, and we're gonna reload. So the reload is implemented, and it is now redoing itself. Now, the more things you have connected to your switches, the more things are going to go down when you go through a reload. So if you have multiple switches connected to the same switch, anything that it's connected to will go down. So right now I'm seeing switch 1 is switch 1's doing the reload. Switch 2 has issues with ports 9 and 11 because that's what it was connected to. Switch 3 has a couple ports down, but beyond that, nothing else is going down. So we're gonna get this set up, and I know this video, I'm 20 minutes in, but I wanted to show you guys this so you would actually see how it actually works. So, and now it's decompressing, and hopefully here in another minute or two I'll be able to go into the rest of the switches and do the same thing. I'm doing a step by one by one so you guys can see it. Now these are 3550s. These are layer 3 switches, so they can route VLANs and stuff like that. So once this reloads, I'll set up an interface, because now we'll get rid of that MAC flap, hopefully. That's my goal. Now it's uncompressed it. Now it's loading it into RAM, and it's initializing the flash file system. And here in a second or two, we should be up. Okay, it's going through its post. That's the same thing as a computer. Just think of it as a router and a switch as a computer with multiple connections to other devices. And here in a second, Ethernet controller test. There's actually 4 controllers on here. There's ports 1 through 12 are on one controller, ports 13 through 24 are on another one, and then the gigabit interface for the SFPs, if you want to run fiber in between your switches for faster throughput, they are on each on a different controller. So now that shows you that, and as you can see, Ethernet controller 1, and they're all on the 802.3. 802.3 is the Ethernet standard, so we don't want to enter that. Would you like to terminate? Yes, I would. So now it sees things plugged in. That's what it's doing right now. Saying, okay, I see stuff plugged in, so I'm going to go to up position, because that's what a switch is supposed to do. By default, if you take a Cisco switch and you plug it in, plug power to it, and connect things to it, it will automatically start working. And you're like, well, isn't that what you want? That's exactly what you want. So enable show IP interface brief. So now we have VLAN 1 is administratively down, so we couldn't even connect to it if we wanted to. And there's no port channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to global config, type in interface VLAN 1. Click up, because it'll actually I want to click no, but it'll kill that one. And I don't want to interface VLAN, so now it's administratively down. So I want interface VLAN 1. Type in IP address is 192.168.1.41, 255.255.255.0. And you may be thinking, why are you putting it on the same network as the rest of your network? Well, because of the fact that I can connect into it then. No shut, that brings that up. Now, with that being said, I have, let's see here, I have ports 9 and 11, and actually I'll do an end. Show interface config T line console 0, login, pass Cisco, and then log synchronous, line VTY 0 space 4, login, pass Cisco, and log synchronous, and show IP interface brief. Now, on both switches, I will have to configure, because I'm connected via the console cable right now, so if I want to be able to remotely manage this, I need to be able to set up Fast Ethernet 4, 9, 11, 14, and 16 as trunks. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to config T, I'm going to type in interface range fast 0/4 question mark. I can put a comma question mark fast Ethernet 0/9 fast Ethernet 0/11. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Actually, let me go out here once and 11. What is that? Is this 13? 15 and 14 and 16. Fast 0/14 and fast 0/16. Okay, I'm going to type in switch port trunk encapsulation .1Q, switch port mode trunk. Okay, it didn't grab it. Yeah, it definitely didn't grab it. And do show interface trunk. Oh, it did grab them. 4, 9, 11, 14, 16, right? 4, 9, 11, 14, 16. Okay, it did grab them all. Sweet. So now they're all trunking, which is exactly what I want. And show interface trunk. Okay, cool. They're all trunking. And so that's that. So I'm going to write mem. And we're good. So we're going to do show start. And as you can see, the host name is switch. I'll change that here in a second. And as you can see, 4 is a .1Q trunk, 9, 11, 14, and 16. So that's what we wanted to see. That's what we've got. So now we've got that. And I'm going to go config team one more time. I'm going to type in host is going to be switch. Yeah, we're going to do 3550. Actually, no. I'll type in switch 1 underscore 3550. So now that's my host name. And we're done. Write mem, and we're going to configure that. Now it's saved. So now I can show VTP status, and now I have 0 configuration register. It's in server mode, all that other good stuff. So I'm going to go to switch 2 now. Hit enter a couple times. Cisco. Enable Cisco. I'm going to type in show VTP status. Number of existing VLANs. Show VLAN. Oh, they didn't get deleted. How about that? Well, I'm going to have to take care of that, won't I? So, no big deal. Show IP interface brief. Makes me wonder, did the port channel get killed? Yes, it did. No problem. So, in this one, 2. So we have 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, 4. We have 9, 11, and then what are these two? 13 and 14. So I should write this down. I really should, instead of having to go guess. So I'm going to write that down real quick and get that situated. I got to actually move my Linux book out of the way here, because that's just going to get in my way. Oops. I have a one of those wire mesh or wire racks next to sitting next to me. So I'm going to type in fast 2 through 4. Then I have 9, 11, and 13 and 14. So 13 through 14. So I'm going to come up here and config T interfaced range fast 0/2 through 4. Fast 0/9, 0/11, and 13, or, you know what, I bet you anybody's going to squawk at me and go fast, and 0/13, and 14. Okay, it worked. I type in switch port trunk and cap.1q. Like I said, you don't have to type the whole command in, you just got to give it enough in order to do what it wants. So we're going to type in switch port mode trunk. Oop. There. And so now we have that. So show interface trunk. So we have 2, 3, 4, 9, 11, 13, and 14. They're all trunking. They're allowing all I gotta delete that VLAN. And so as you can see, spanning tree is working. As you can see, 2, 3, and 4 are being blocked. 9, 11, 13, and 14 are working, and let's see, 9, 11, and 13 are forwarding all 3 VLANs, and only fast 14 is forwarding VLAN 33, 33, and 444. We're going to delete show flash and delete VLAN .dat. Okay, so show flash. That's supposed to happen the last time, but so we're going to do show CDP neighbors. Okay, so we see switch 1, 3550 on fast 11 and 9. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to name this config t host, and it's going to be switch 2 underscore 3550. And so now show CDP neighbors. Okay, I see switch 4. I see switch 1. So I'm gonna ping 192.168.1.41. There, I can talk to my 2 switches can talk to each other. Now I'm gonna work my way down, and I'm actually gonna reload this guy. No, this is actually what we didn't get last time. Save has been modified. Do you want to save it? If you save it, you want to do the delete of the VLAN. So nope. I'm gonna go ahead and reload it. So now it's being reloaded. I'm going to pull the cable out of the back of that guy and plug it into the back of my next switch, and hit enter so I can keep right on rolling. And Cisco enable show IP interface brief. You can do layer 2 Ether channel with these guys, and as you can see, VLAN, this guy got shut down somehow, .144, which is no big deal. So this guy is switch 4. Well, we're going to rename that switch 3 and give it a different IP address. That's going to give it that .43. So config t, and we're going to go in and we're going to type interface VLAN 1. Type in IP address is 192.168.1.43, 255.255.255.0, no shut. So that brings up the VLAN, or the interface, so we'll be able to remote into it. Type in end, type in show VTP status, and it is a client, or it's a server. That's okay, that's cool. And then what we're going to do is notice how it's got 14 VLANs and 11 configuration. The configuration revision number is 11. We're going to do show flash, and VLAN.dat. So we're going to delete VLAN.dat. Okay, that one's deleted. So now we know that's working. So now we got to do, if you delete that, oh, it's because it's the 3550 is rebooting. So we're going to do config t, we're going to do host name is switch 3 underscore 2950. There we go. And end, actually, show interface trunk. Did it show anything? And it's only seeing the fast 24 as its trunk, which would be true. but we're going to turn 9 and 10 and 24 into trunks. Okay, you see 9 and 10 just came up. We're going to go config T, interface, fast 0 slash, or range, fast 0 slash 9 through 10, and fast 0 slash 24. Type in switch port, mode, trunk. Now you're like, well, how come you didn't do the switch port encapsulation? Because you can't put that in there. Well, why? Because it doesn't support that. I don't know. It just 2950s. It's a little not quite as robust for the switching environment side of it. So you have to do it that way. Now this is where if you put switch port trunk, and this is where you could allow certain VLANs across your trunks. This is where you can set the native VLAN, the pruning, and I'll show you how pruning works when I actually get everything set up. So we're going to control U on that. We're going to hit end, show interface trunk. So now we have trunking is on, so it takes it away, takes it off of desirable. Okay, because when it's in dynamic desirable mode, it will desire. It's basically saying, okay, whatever my neighbor says I should be is what I'll be. So if it's an access port, it'll be an access port. If it's a switch, if it's trunking, if it detects another switch via BPDU, it'll flip it over to a trunk. And depending on how many trunks are connected, will determine who does what. And right now, they're all in forwarding. So if you do, it's got a lot of VLAN. So I'm going to type in reload. Well, actually, I bet you any money I didn't write mem. Probably didn't do that to the last switch. That's why it didn't work. So I'm going to have to actually go back into 3550 and see that. So I've written memory. So I'm going to type in reload. Confirm. Now it's reloading that switch. These switches tend to reload pretty quick because they're not quite as beefy. Sounds like I can pull the console cable out of it. Oop, just dropped it. 1 second. Let me go ahead and plug this back in over here to this guy. I just want to make sure that my 3550. Nope. Yes. And enable. Oh, see, it didn't work. Config T. Actually, end. Show VLAN. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it show IP interface brief. Everything I just did, it bugged out because now it's just pulling DHCP off my local LAN. So I got to go back in there and fix that. So show interface trunk. Yeah, see, it's only got that they're undesirable. So yeah, I goofed. So config T, type in interface trunk or interface range, fast 0 slash, or actually let me go to interface VLAN 1. IP address is 192.168.1.42. 255.255.255.0. Oh, one too many nines. And then no shut. So that brings that up. And was this up to begin with? It was. So you notice how it says DHCP? If you don't configure an interface IP address, it'll pull DHCP. They're designed to. So that's why your switches, you should secure them because you can get DHCP attacks, you can get layer 2 attacks like man in the middle. So definitely something you want to be careful of. And I'm going to type in interface range fast 0 slash 2 through 4, fast 0 slash 9, fast 0 slash 11, and then fast 0 slash 13 through 14. Switch port, trunk, encap, .1Q, switch port, mode, trunk, well, and show interface trunk. Show, that's one thing I hate about, if you don't set it up right, show interface trunk. Now they're trunking. And config T, line, console 0. I know, I just did this a minute ago too. Login. Pass Cisco. Log synchronous. Line VTY0 space 4. Log synchronous. Login. Pass Cisco. Enable secret Cisco and show run. Okay, just making sure everything's situated here. It doesn't take long to get it situated, but if you don't do it right the first time, it'll come back to bite you. We're gonna write mem. That's one thing I didn't do last time. So now that that's done, we're gonna go ahead and jump up to the top one because it wasn't working. And we're going to hop into this switch right here as soon as I can plug it in. Oh, that's not a... Oh, okay, there's the connect. Got to find the console port. And... Alright, there it goes. Oh, and then I pull the... I don't have my... I have like 3 console cables going at one time. Oh, no, I didn't name it either. That's no problem. Switch 3. I didn't name it correctly. Show run. Hopefully this one I didn't screw this one up. And 43. It's kind of right. See, I'm gonna have to pause the video and go back and fix this stuff. Okay, after a little bit of time, I went back through and I made sure all the configs were good, because quite honestly, I think talking was messing me up. Nothing not that that's bad, but so I have all of the IP addresses set up on the VLANs correctly. Switch 1 is 41, so on and so forth. And can I do page up? Sweet. Oh, that doesn't let me do that. So, what I have here is I'm going to scroll up here, and switch 2, it's got everything you need, everything I need set up. I have to adjust the switch, the name on it, but basically I have them all set up so that I can remote into them, and so I can telnet and SSH whenever I decide to show you guys how to do SSH. And as you can see, all the config that I had to do to get them there. And that's pretty much it. Now, that's a lot of config that I just did, and quite frankly, a lot of it I think was necessary so you guys could see it actually happening. So that's getting the switches all set up. Now that the switches are set up, the real work can actually begin, because that's the first thing that needs to happen. It'll take me more time to get the switches set up from the startup than it will for me to actually go in and get everything configured. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop this video because it's been going for almost 45 minutes. I'll stop this video and I'll name it, and then I'll go in and I will get the VLAN set up. That shouldn't take me long, because once I get VTP set up correctly, and it'll replicate and everything will be good. So I'm going to cut the video here on this one, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I hope this has been informative for you, and I would like to thank you for viewing.